Welcome into the show, everyone. It's Monday, September 16th, 2024. Lots of news to get to. We got about 2.5 minutes of Democrats calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. Let's roll it.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
So I typically don't like to, if there's some lunatic, I don't like to be like, oh, well, he followed this person or whatever, then let's blame them. But we have just had consistent violence, rhetoric, just unhinged conversations like this from the left for, what has it been, almost like 8 years now? When you continue to spew this hateful rhetoric, and this is on mainstream, we're not even getting to like the far left stuff. This is on mainstream news. If you tell people these things over and over and over again, what do you think they're going to do? It is time for the media and the Democrats that are using this language and rhetoric to take full responsibility for their actions, because it has now, again, the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life in just 2 months. Ricardo, your take on, that video and, what needs to be done to stop this madness?
Yeah, I mean, that was wow. That was massively, dangerously decisive. I mean, that I'm surprised, really, because people don't see how dangerous that rhetoric is, and they're not surprised at the type of events that we're seeing take place right now. And I've seen, them say certain things, but I've never seen it put together like that. And like you said, I can see how over the years, people getting that type of information, and we're seeing these type of events. Obviously, a second attempt on Donald Trump's life, and it's just not becoming of who we are as a people and as a nation. And it's divisive. It's divisive, and it's nasty. It's ugly. When you see these images and what they're putting out, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way at all. And not surprised. And we're probably going to see more, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop, apparently, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think they know that the people have woken up now. I mean, really, the only thing that helped them in 2020 was the whole pandemic. That kind of got people distracted, away from the other crimes they're doing. But I think they know if Trump gets back in, that they're going to be in trouble. And so they're willing to do, which I've been saying for years, they will do whatever it takes to get him out, come hell or high water.
Yeah, no. Yep.
Here's another, just such a coincidence, Mims. The latest Trump would-be assassin, Ryan Routh, I think is how you say his name, also appeared in a BlackRock commercial, just like Thomas Crooks. That means both featured in global wealth management firms' commercial. These aren't coincidences. They love symbolism. So this...
The action is to appeal to both leaders.
So that's him right there in the BlackRock commercial, just like Thomas Crooks was. So we're going to go into what we know right now about the shooter. Not surprising, the mainstream media is lying about it. Yeah, let me pull this one here.
Donald Trump's safety is once again back in the headlines after the Secret Service stopped another possible attempt on his life.
But anger is growing this morning. How could it happen again? Joining us now is Tony Kinnett, investigative columnist with the Daily Signal. Good morning, Tony.
Morning.
Looking at this from your viewpoint, what are investigators missing here to better protect the former president?
The first question is, how on earth are we looking at a second situation in which a perimeter should have been established, and with the primary candidate who is leading in the polls in this particular election cycle, with threats already avoided, with assassination attempts already survived, and we don't have an established perimeter? When I was at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee shortly following the first assassination attempt, there were 12 different state police agencies on the ground. Ohio State Police actually stopped a man committing an attempted stabbing 2 miles away from the perimeter. That's how serious security was at that particular venue. And then just a month later at the Democratic National Convention, security was back to being lax again. And now here we have a guy that was able to get 300 to 500 yards within the former president, even if he weren't running for election. This is a terrible breach of security. And Biden coming out this morning and saying that maybe the Secret Service needs more help to keep the former president of the United States safe. I would say that might be the understatement of the century.
Look, as you pointed out, protection has reportedly increased since that first assassination attempt, at least initially, right? But does more need to be done to protect our former president, other nominees, our elected officials in general? I mean, this has now happened twice in 9 weeks.
I think that you make a really good point there. There should be no one that has a firearm anywhere remotely near Vice President Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Tim Walz, J.D. Vance. These are people that are running for office when there are foreign nations like Iran and Russia that are openly meddling in U.S. elections. Iran and the mullahs basically bragging about wanting individuals to assassinate members on the Republican side of the aisle, but certainly would be more than happy to see chaos by anyone running for election assassinated. This is a time when we need to take the security of those running for office or who are in office very seriously. Of course, we remember Steve Scalise being shot at the congressional baseball game a few years ago. We really need to take these issues seriously because we're in an age where we've never really seen security threats like these. And when institutional trust is already at an all-time low, we need every agency to do everything they can to make sure that these individuals in these high-risk situations are protected. That's how we start to restore some of the trust and, most importantly, God willing, keep our candidates safe.
Tony, talk to us about the suspect. He's not speaking yet. As we look in his history, there are a lot of traffic violations, some run-ins with the law. Any red flags that we should be aware of that you're uncovering? And should the president at this point only do indoor events? I mean, granted, he was golfing. This is what he normally does. So how does he move forward from this?
So first of all, I would really like to offer some praise for Merritt Street for not saying, like Time Magazine did this morning, that his political ideology is very uncertain. That's not the case. After his vehicle was pulled over, other things owned by this individual show that he is an individual who's donated to far-left campaigns, that he is currently echoing sentiments and statements from a particular nominee for president at the moment, and that his political ideologies do appear to be on the left. That said, the red flags for this individual suggest that he's been moving towards radical ideology and making violent moves past just being on the other side of the aisle for some time now. As to how that plays in to what could have been noticed and avoided. We don't know all of the details yet. And so again, offering praise to Merit Street that you guys haven't started, like some outlets have, suggesting kind of deeper conspiracies before we know the investigation. This is such a very particular time in which we have to get all of the information out to people in the country, but we don't want to make any kind of statements that cause some kind of catastrophe from unfinished information.
Absolutely. You know, we stick to the facts here, and many are pointing to inflamed rhetoric as to why some of these incidents are taking place. So we thank you for acknowledging that, and we will always present the facts and let the viewer decide. Thank you very much.
So another thing, I don't have it pulled up right now, but he was big into Ukraine. He had been to Ukraine. He was there, like, trying to recruit people to fight in the war. So he definitely went down that rabbit hole of the left of believing a lot of, actually, I got it pulled up right here. Yep, let's hear him in his own words.
From Canada, from everywhere in South America, every place.
Europe.
Europe, everywhere. We need everybody here. You know, if you have no skills, just come. You know, we need to be cheerleaders. Just being here and saying, hey, I support the Ukrainians, and I support human rights, and I support good and generosity and caring and kindness and altruism. And it's just, you know, we need to show the world that we care. And it's essential. You know, if you don't do any work at all, just being here and supporting and showing them that we care for our fellow human beings is the most important thing we can do.
So again, I mean, just think about how weird this is, that like this guy has decided to dedicate his life to the Ukraine war, going there, telling people they just need to come there to show that they care. So if you have a candidate that says, I'm going to end this war, and then, you know, the media comes in with, oh, you know, Trump and Putin are best friends, and, you know, Putin's going to eat his lunch, and if Trump gets in, then, you know, Ukraine's going to fall. Like, when you tell somebody that over and over and over again, they're going to believe it. So if this guy's passionate about this, I'm not surprised that he hears what the media says and says, well, I could be the left hero. You know, I could be the guy that took Donald Trump out. And they've essentially set that up now, when after the first attempt, sadly, I think they said like 25 to 30% of Democrats were saying like they wish he would have been shot, or they were sad that he missed. I mean, so you're basically just telling anyone that is able to assassinate the president is going to be a hero. Am I missing something here?
No, it seemed like, you know, I'm pretty sure they're upset at all of these are attempts. You know, when you know, like that video you played earlier, showing their rhetoric, showing Trump's head cut off and Trump getting shot and Trump getting stabbed, and they're saying you need to do this and do that, and he's a threat to democracy. And, you know, all of it just doesn't even make sense, because they got everybody trying to vote for Kamala, but nobody voted for her. You know, nobody, they're just putting her up. There was no real voting for Kamala at all. And, you know, and here you have, during Trump's presidency, we didn't have all these wars. We didn't have all this death. You know, we didn't have that. We have that under the current administration. So it's you know, it's counterintuitive. It just doesn't really even make sense, you know, what they're saying versus what we've experienced, and then what we're experiencing now, you know, versus what they're saying. You know, I mean, yeah, more and more people can obviously be radicalized by this type of rhetoric that they're saying. And they're literally advocating, they're saying it, you know, that they want something to happen to him, that something needs to happen to him. If he gets in here, they're saying it's the end of the world, you know, and that's why we're going to see events like this. But they definitely need to ramp up his security. And, you know, we're glad that this was an attempt and not a successful, you know, assassination. And but it's crazy. It's going to get worse as we get closer and closer to the election. I can only imagine.
Oh, that's why we're going daily here, guys. Again, this was the most epic fact check I've ever seen in my life from the debate on Tuesday.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century, But let's understand.
So where the fuck are we right now?
And as of today, but let's understand.
So where the fuck are we?
So, you know, Kamala's up on stage, just bold-faced lying, saying that there's no, you know, active military anywhere around the entire world. These guys are watching it live on television and literally fact-checking her of like, then what are we doing here? And to say that you want to be the commander-in-chief and you don't even know what is going on in the world, I don't know if she just didn't know it or she just decided to lie because she knew she could get away with it and ABC wouldn't do anything. But I mean, it's just crazy that like if people won't do their research. They're just told what to believe and that's it. They don't question it. Again, they talk about a threat to democracy. No one voted for her. They literally installed her. They played you. Okay, they gave you no choice. She had 1% of the vote when she dropped out in 2020. She was the first one to drop out. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She had no momentum, no support.
Yeah.
And then they just install her after Biden. We all knew he was not good the whole time, but the media just lied to us because they didn't want to actually go through the vetting process. And now, what's she done? Like 1 or 2 interviews with obviously friendly journalists in the last 2 or 3 months. Like we know so little about this. There was no vetting. I just don't know how Democrats can handle this. Of their voice was just stolen from them.
Yeah, I think it's a whole nother party. You know, what happens is like literally the party that you're used to has been co-opted by another wing of that party, which is more of an extreme, dangerous wing of that party that has a whole new type of people walking around the planet. You know, because even real, you know, Democrats and lifelong Democrats are realizing the BS. And just like, you know, RFK, they're going over to Trump's side. You know, they're going over to saying, hold on, this is not the party of peace. This is not the party that we you know, are familiar with. You know, it's just horrible. The division, you know, a divided nation will fall, and they just ferment in so much division. When you look at this ticket, and it's about, you know, ending the wars and, you know, healthcare and, you know, protecting the children and everything else that Donald Trump and his plan they talk about. But, you know, even on stage then she talked about Donald Trump and Agenda 2025, and that's been proven that's false. Donald Trump says, I have nothing to do with that. You know, that is not part of my policy, what we're going to be enacting when I get in office. But they want to continue to put this lie out because they want to continue to lie to their base to ferment this division. I mean, it's as clear as day at this point what's going on, and there's a lot more time before the election, and so more and more of this stuff is going to come out.
Yeah, I'm happy to see people waking up though. I found this video. This is from Chicago. She's talking about Brandon Johnson, who is the mayor of Chicago.
All I can say to you is that you are a disgrace. I'm an 80-year-old woman, and I've never seen anything like this. I grew up in the Jim Crow South, and the policies that you're passing in this city remind me of the Jim Crow South. I had to drink out of a colored water fountain, or the whites would drink out of a white water fountain. But you know what I didn't have to worry about? Going back to my community and it would be destroyed. And everybody else is in my community but Black people. And this is what you've done with this immigration. You have allowed all these people, you brought all these people into this city. You are destroying this city. And the Black community is flooded with all of these immigrants, violent ones, prostitution, gangs. You did that. You are doing this to your people. You are an absolute disgrace to me. Like I said, I drank out of that colored water fountain, but I could go back to that Black community that was intact. Women are crying. Taxes are going up. What am I going to do with my children? Where are we going to go and live? This is because of you, Brandon Johnson. You're destroying the South Side of Chicago with your policy, all under the Democratic Party. You are a disgrace. All I can say to you.
Oh,
Democratic Party was a party of slavery. That's the history. History don't people realize that Democrats really were never our friends. That wasn't our party. It was Republicans did more for for Black people than Democrats. But unfortunately, people perish for their lack of knowledge and understanding of history as well as many other things. We're living in some epic times, but people are waking up, like you said, Mike. People are seeing, the chaos that is being created by their policies and their agenda. And you think that this country and our people are going to survive another 4 years under Kamala Harris at that? Not even Joe Biden, who's even worse. Kamala Harris is worse than Joe Biden.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
Straight up Marxist. Her dad was a Marxist economics professor. She is on camera saying we got to be woke. We got to be as woke as we can, which is just critical theory, race Marxism. That sadly is being taught in all of our colleges right now. So we need to also stop that. Well, let's get on to some good news, Mims. We don't want to be political and focus on these things all the time. I saw this today. It got me excited. You can see here, we are getting ready for a massive bull run. So you can see, what things look like during the bear market, right? This is the bear. This is the pre-bull. This is the first bull. So here's where we are at. Okay. So a lot of people are saying, we'll start to go up in October, and then after the election is when we'll really take off. But again, if we can see this has happened 4 times now of where we're here and we start to go up, start to go up, start to go up. That's where we're at right here. So keep buying, guys, like we've been telling you, dollar cost averaging. And I think we're getting ready to take off here really soon. Mims, anything you want to add when it comes to crypto and how people just need to make sure they're getting in the right assets?
Yeah, what you have to understand is that they're devaluing fiat currency all across the planet. All paper money is essentially being devalued. It's losing purchasing power right now. And so those cheap dollars are going to find assets. And so we're going to see something that we've never seen before, quite frankly, in the digital and physical space. When it comes to the dollar value, the price of these assets, Bitcoin and the crypto space and blockchain is getting ready to take off because of the loss in purchasing power of the dollar and the collapse of this fiat system. The system is literally collapsing. It's already collapsed. And we're going to see, like that graph showed, just a massive rise in Bitcoin, which is, blockchain and crypto. We're going to see the whole crypto sector significantly rise in value because it's a hedge. It's a store of value. It's the new way that money is going to be preserved, in the digital form as well. And so as the dollar continues to lose value, assets are going to continue to rise. And that's why we tell people just, something is better than nothing. Get a position and constantly, continuously, consistently add to it.
No, 100%. And again, another all-time high for gold right now, Mims, over 2,600. Gold at a 17.5 trillion market cap. 2607 is the price for 1 ounce of gold today. And again, guys, we have the best prices on gold and silver, period. Okay. No one else is even close. So make sure you contact us so that you can be getting real money, the #1 asset in the world at the lowest prices. We have Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. Google goes above Amazon. Silver falls down to oil. And then we have silver at number 8. It's over $30 still at $31.08. Bitcoin at about almost 58,000. But those are the 3 assets we talk about. It's decentralized. It's not dealing with stocks. To me, this is how you get out of the rat race, right? How you actually preserve your wealth with what is coming.
Yeah. Physical and digital assets. And that's what we do, folks. We really want to document the collapse of this fiat system. We're documenting the shift that's happening globally with the monetary system and politics and everything else. And then we want to provide those solutions because most people don't know. I was in the bank today, early this morning, and I could overhear somebody asking for a CD. And I guess so they wanted to put some money in a CD, and I'm just laughing because the lady goes and gets the rates for CDs, and she's like, "Well, yeah, rates are coming down, but this is what we're offering for CDs right now." And I was just like, I was just like, wow, so many people just, they just don't know. And I mean, I would never get a CD right now. When you consider inflation and everything else, but most people don't know. So this is why we go live. And this is why we ask y'all to share this information out, because people want to know, how can I preserve my dollars? How can I have them grow without exposing the risk? How can I diversify? And people just aren't financially aware of the options or available. They're not financially literate, and that's why we say, the safest way to have your money grow for you without exposing it to risk and protect its purchasing power is saving in physical silver and gold. One of the other ways to have your money grow for you, obviously we talk about Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency and digital assets, but the dollar is going to continue to lose purchasing power. So think about, what is the value of your dollars 10 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever have you, it's going to be less. But if you have your dollars converted into the right assets, physical silver, gold, gold, a tier 1 asset. Bank of International Settlements, they will go to tier 1 asset, which means it has zero risk associated to it. There's no third-party counter risk. But everything else is speculative, but that's why we share this information.
So Ricardo, I don't know if you knew this, but opening a certificate of deposit allows you to lock in an attractive fixed rate and earn higher returns compared to traditional savings account, while providing FDIC insurance protection and guaranteed growth for a set period of time.
Really?
Now here's the good part. The national average for a 1-year CD is 1.78%. 1.78%.
That much? That much?
For a year, you can get 1.78%, while inflation is probably, 8 to 15%.
Well, gee golly, I better run down to my nearest bank. Go get me.
We've been missing it this whole time, Mims. It was CDs. We just got to buy CDs.
Oh, God.
We get 1.78%. We just sit back and relax, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So, Mims, you turned me on to this guy, and I want to introduce him to the audience. Gregory Mannarino, do you maybe want to just kind of introduce him, why you like listening to him? And we're going to listen to him for a little bit, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, he just exposes the corruption of this matrix in the financial system. If you listen to this guy, he's very eloquent and articulates the monetary system, the debt-based fiat model, why you need silver and gold, and digital assets, breaking down the corruption that's taking place in the financial system, the lies, the no real price discovery, for assets, just the rigging of the markets. And he just does a really good job with his data and analysis and explaining how things work. So I've been listening to Gregory Mannarino for years. His channel, when it was around maybe 30, 40,000 subscribers, and now he has a few 100,000 on YouTube. But he just does great work. And you want to follow certain people to kind of keep you abreast on what's going on and kind of keep you, in the know and continuing to acquire the right assets. That's why we say it's important who you follow, what information you're consuming, and what you do. And Greg is one of those people that I follow, and that puts great value out there for people to help them get ahead in this economy.
All right, let's check it out.
Now starting to institute emergency monetary policy. Okay, emergency monetary policy, also known as quantitative easing. This is the same thing they did during the meltdown of 2008, where they propped up the stock market, they propped up the real estate markets. We're about to enter a new phase as to what central banks are doing to us here, and that is currency devaluation on an even greater scale, and obviously lower rates is what they're promising us here. Although the Fed's in here right now buying all the debt. I mean, look, it's astonishing to me how people need to be told, like infantile entities, what's happening. They can't see it for themselves.
Central banks are not your friends, and the illusion of a booming stock market is just that, an illusion. Those aren't just words of caution from Gregory Mannarino, they're a stark warning. As Mannarino, often dubbed the Robin Hood of Wall Street, points out, We're not merely navigating through a rough economic patch. We're witnessing the deliberate orchestration of what he describes as an economic takedown. Central banks, in his view, are the real culprits, pulling the strings behind the scenes, devaluing currencies, manipulating interest rates, and pushing the world towards a two-tier society, where the ultra-wealthy thrive while the rest of us struggle to keep up. Manarino's perspective isn't just a doomsday prediction, it's a call to action. He insists that the writing has been on the wall for years. The system, according to Manarino, is rigged, and the signs are glaringly obvious if you know where to look at. Central banks have not only been propping up the stock markets with easy money policies like quantitative easing, but they're also preparing to push even further into emergency monetary policies. This is not unlike the measures taken during the 2008 financial crisis, except now it's happening on a much larger and a more dangerous scale. Let's start by dissecting Manarino's core argument, the devaluation of currencies through unchecked monetary policies. Recent data shows that the global inflation rate remains persistently high, despite various central banks' efforts to stabilize prices. In the United States, inflation, which was thought to be transitory, has proven to be stickier than expected. The Federal Reserve's attempts to cool the economy with aggressive rate hikes have so far failed to bring inflation under control effectively. Manarino argues that these rate hikes are nothing more than a facade, because behind the scenes, the Fed is still buying up debt, effectively keeping rates lower than they appear and further devaluing the currency. This currency devaluation isn't just a US issue, it's a global phenomenon. In the Eurozone, inflation has remained stubbornly above target, and the European Central Bank continues to grapple with the challenge of balancing growth with price stability. Meanwhile, Japan's yield curve control policy has led to a weakening yen, spurring concerns about a currency crisis. The story is similar in emerging markets, where currency values are being eroded at an alarming rate, leading to severe economic hardships for millions of people.
The yield curve that's been cratering. You got the central bank issued currencies getting their purchasing power sucked out. And this is the backbone of everything we're seeing, this global issue of inflation. This is not by accident. This is no comedy of errors that got us here. This is deliberate. And with this new phase that the Fed is going to make their announcement again that they're cutting rates. They're already cutting rates. Mortgage rates just fell to a 2-year low. How could mortgage rates fall to a 2-year low if the Fed's not cutting rates? They're buying all the debt. When the Fed buys the debt, pushes bond yields down, obviously that has an effect on rates. The Fed's buying it all, and of course weakening the currency as well.
But the bigger concern Manarino raises is about the broader implications of this devaluation. How it distorts asset prices and leads to the creation of massive bubbles in financial markets. The recent surge in crude oil prices, which Manarino highlights as a critical indicator, is not just a sign of supply constraints, but also a reflection of the underlying currency devaluation. As oil prices soar, the cost of goods and services follows suit, exacerbating the inflationary pressures on consumers and businesses alike. Manarino's analysis of the yield curve paints a bleak picture. The yield curve, which measures the difference between short-term and long-term interest rates, has been inverted for an extended period, a classical signal of an impending recession. According to recent data, the US 10-year Treasury yield has been hovering around levels not seen since the financial crisis, signaling that bond investors are increasingly wary of the future economic prospects. Manarino sees this as evidence that the Fed's actions are failing to inspire confidence and are instead pointing towards a future economic meltdown. But it's not just about the economy. Manarino argues that the entire financial system is being manipulated to serve the interests of a select few. He describes the current market environment as false economy, driven not by true economic fundamentals, but by the whims of central banks and governments who are more interested in maintaining the illusion of stability than in addressing the underlying issues.
All right, I think that's a good place to stop there. Mems, do you maybe just want to, because I'm sure that went over some people's heads, but maybe just break it down, really let people know what they need to know and get from that.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time. Central bank is public enemy number one. And you have to understand something that the whole model that we have right now is is a model that is designed to confiscate the wealth of the American people. And that's what the central bank is here for. They issue debt-based interest-bearing currency. And in that process, the currency is devalued, we're taxed on it. And this is why people find it harder and harder to maintain their standard of living. Where here in the United States, we actually should have the Treasury issuing our debt-free, interest-free notes, like President Kennedy wanted to have with Executive Order 11110, bypassing the Federal Reserve. But the whole economy is rigged. It's a manipulated, rigged economy, what Greg is saying, which is true. And it's based off the Federal Reserves and their ability to create value from nothing. And he talks about, obviously quantitative easing and Operation Twist and TARP and all these bailouts, and all these things that they're doing is really just confiscating the wealth of the American people through the devaluation of the currency, and then the manipulation of the system. And this is why we, and Greg as well, tell people, look, bet against the debt. Bet against the debt, bet against this corrupt debt-based fiat monetary system. And this is the time to bet against it. And you bet against the debt by holding hard assets. You bet against the debt by holding real money, physical silver and gold, and then getting into blockchain as well. And that is how you hedge, because this system is collapsing right before our eyes, but we're going to continue to see them rig and manipulate and prop up these markets as they continue to create value from nothing. The Federal Reserve has never been audited. This institution has never been audited. It is a corrupt banking cartel. They do not answer to Congress. They will get up there and they will, pretend as if they have to answer to Congress, but they don't have to answer to Congress. They're not a part of the government. They're a private banking cartel. They have never been audited. And yes, they are in here buying up bonds, rigging and manipulating the market as we speak, while governments around the world and central banks around the world are buying more gold than they ever have at any time period in history. They're hedging against the weaponized financial system on the dollar and SWIFT. And these are events that people need to be aware of, because this affects their life. This affects their financial future and stability moving forward. The fight is about the future and the purchasing power of your dollars. So this is why people are so excited, for those who are in the right position, about the Federal Reserve cutting rates, because that is an inflationary currency devaluing event. And what that means is that assets are going to rise in value. And so those who have assets are excited about that because they're going to get wealthier. But those who only have dollars and have their wealth tied into dollar denominated financial rigged and manipulated instruments, or just hold dollars in general, you're going to lose, because the dollar is going to lose. The dollar is going to lose value. And so this is why I've been following Greg, and he preaches the same stuff we preach, and this is what it's coming down to. It just comes down to your ability to follow the right people, okay, get the right information and acquiring the right assets. And it'll change your life forever, because we're living in the most significant time period ever in history. And it's very simple, the things that you need to do that can change you and your life forever.
No, 100%. And along with that, during this day and age, we're talking about inflation, the prices of everything going up. So we are happy to bring to our team, our community, one of the best free apps I've ever seen in my life. Money back with every purchase. Shop My World and collect cash back and shopping points. And it's come to that point now, Mims, where everyone is paying attention to their budget, how much money they have. So this allows you to save money when you use the app and then make money when you share it. So get with Ricardo or I to get set up with the right link for that. But we are focused on helping as many people as possible save money every day where they normally shop, and helping them get more residual income to get assets.
Yeah. Yep. That's what it's about, folks. It's about solutions. And so we're looking for solid solutions that can help people get ahead, save money, make money, preserve their wealth, because most people just don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. Some things are for some people and some things aren't, but you find what resonates with you and you take advantage of it. And in regards to My World, it's a free app. It's going to help people save money. It's great for business owners to help them grow their business, and also create additional revenue stream in the process. So, we find solutions, and like Mike said, get back to, Mike or me, or even whoever shares this video with you. They might be in position to actually help you take advantage. And of course, you know, you also can go to my website as well, onewithrick.com, and get some more of the details there as well. So, you know, we're living in, you know, like I said, the most significant time period ever in history. And, you know, your future is just going to be based on who you follow, information you consume, and what you do. And so we just hope that people take this information seriously, take advantage of it. Make sure you like this out, share this out, and help people, you know, get in position for what's to come.
Definitely. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Have an awesome week. We will be live tomorrow at noon on Tuesday. So make sure you check us out, like that, share it out, tag some friends. We got a country to save and people to help get wealthy. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.